We're talking about solving quadratic functions by square roots, and we want to solve quadratic equations algebraically by using the square root. So here we have example 5, 5y squared plus 20 equals 0. And so we want to use GEMDAS to solve this. And we always start with addition and subtraction and then work our way to groups. So we see that we do have addition. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. So we're going to subtract 20 from both sides of the equation. And then we get 5y squared equals negative 20. There's no more addition and subtraction. So now we can use, we see that there's 5 multiplied by y squared. So the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 5 and divide by 5. And then we get y squared equals negative 20 divided by 5 is going to be negative 4. And then in order to, or we look addition and subtraction, there's none. Multiplication, division, there isn't any. So now we see that we have an exponent. And in order to get rid of that squared term, we have to take the square root of both sides of the equation. And the square root cancels the square. And anytime that we solve using the square root, we have to say plus or minus. And then that's going to be the square root of negative 4. And then we remember that the square root of negative 4 can be rewritten as the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of negative 1. And the square root of negative 1 is equal to I. And the square root of 4 is equal to 2. So then we can write this answer as y equals plus or minus 4, or excuse me, plus or minus 2i. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of negative 1 is I. We have example 6, and we have the quantity x minus 2/3 squared is equal to 25/9. And same thing, we're going to use GEMDAS. And we always start with addition and subtraction and work our way to groups. So here we have subtraction, but that is inside the group. So the group we do last. So we have to do everything else first. So no addition or subtraction outside of the group. No multiplication or division outside of the group. So the first thing we're going to come to is the exponent. And the way to get rid of the square is to take the square root of both sides of the equation. Over here on the left, the square cancels, or the square root cancels the square. And then we're left with x minus 2/3. And over here, we can rewrite this as the square root of 25 over the square root of 9. Anytime we take the square root when solving, we have to do plus or minus. And the square root of 25 is 5. And the square root of 9 is 3. And now we go back to GEMDAS, and we see that we have subtraction. And the inverse of subtraction is addition. So we have to add 2/3 and add 2/3. So this is plus or minus. So this means plus 5/3, and it also means minus 5/3. So we have to actually do those two equations there. We have to do those two expressions. So we have to say a positive 5/3 plus 2/3, and that's equal to 5 plus 2 is 7, and 3 plus 3, we don't do anything with the base, we leave the base alone, so we just leave that as 3. Then we also have to do minus 5/3 plus 2/3. So negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3 over 3. and that reduces to -1. So when we get our answer for this, we say x equals, and then this is plus or minus 5/3 plus, and then we did that math over here. And so our solution is x equals 7/3 and x equals -1.